I'm going to have to ask you to leave him alone. Now, I acknowledge that I'm unfamiliar with your circumstances, but at first glance, your treatment of this man appears unfair, and I'm obliged to intervene.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. Always love ending the week on a high note. Stephen Miller just cooked CNN live on air. Look at the panic in their face as Miller puts on a master class. The reporter was left shrieking and crying, mascara down her face, and this is what her colleagues looked like after the interview. Oh, it's great. Let me give you the preview of what just happened. The Supreme Court just made a massive ruling that Donald Trump can and will revoke the parole status of 500,000 criminal aliens who were mass inserted into our country parasitically by the Biden administration. U.S. Supreme Court on Friday let President Trump revoke the temporary status of Venezuelans, Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, among others, in a huge boost to Republican president's drive to deport millions from this country who don't belong here. Meanwhile, Trump announced that he will hold a big news conference to celebrate. SCOTUS delivers massive win for the Trump administration, reversing a lower court and granting Trump the ability to revoke the legal status. That means that they have to go home. Biden flew these criminal aliens into the United States using our tax dollars to mass parole them into our cities to change the American electorate forever. Of course, DEI, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, dissented, but didn't matter. This was a massive victory for President Trump.
U.S. Supreme Court, the president has notched a win a moment ago. The U.S. Supreme Court has allowed the Trump administration to revoke the temporary legal status for hundreds of thousands of immigrants. Now, they come from 4 countries: Venezuela, Cuba, Haiti, and Nicaragua. They came into the country through an app that was established during the Biden presidency years. And for the moment, it appears that the Trump team, they've made it their objective to deport those who came in illegally. This would be a win for the administration, handed down by the U.S. Supreme Court just a few minutes ago. So that's
hopefully a return to form. The president, of course, has the absolute and total power under Article 2 to protect our nation and to allow or not allow enemies into this country. Sadly, the last administration allowed millions of them, and now President Trump is cleaning up that mess. So SCOTUS has authorized the Trump administration to deport 500,000 migrants. Oh yeah, here's the ruling. It was a massive win, a 7-2 Supreme Court. It wasn't even close, thankfully, but also kind of sadly. Mass deportation numbers are about to get a lot higher. And this just comes on the heels of Stephen Miller saying that he's going to supercharge criminal alien deportations. Check this out. Stephen Miller, who is the Deputy Chief of Staff of the White House, and Kristi Noem, who's Homeland Security Secretary, demanded that immigration agents arrest 3,000 people per day, according to 2 sources familiar with the meeting. The new target is triple the number of daily arrests that the agents were making in the early days of the Trump term, suggests the president's top immigration officials are going full steam ahead. Stephen Miller apparently was yelling and has since replaced staff in ICE and Customs and Immigration Border Patrol in order to get the job done. Comes as the Trump administration's heavy-handed tactics in rounding up unauthorized migrants. Unauthorized migrants, no, they're criminal aliens. In some cases, and now we have a massive protocol on hand and a victory at the Supreme Court. So that, of course, goes very nicely with Stephen Miller popping on to CNN and ending a reporter's career in what is one of the best Stephen Miller hits to date. Watch, pop your popcorn, and enjoy.
And expulsion under the laws of the United States.
So what are you going to do? Will the White House suspend the habeas corpus?
But it is our hope and expectation that the court system, and in particular the Supreme Court, will end the practice of district court judges unlawfully interfering in the immigration enforcement of the United States. Under the Immigration and Nationality Act, it's a very important point, Congress stripped the district courts of jurisdiction in matters of immigration. So each and every time a district court, in other words, they created Article 2 immigration courts in the executive branch and stripped Article 3 courts of jurisdiction. So every time a district court is setting national immigration policy, that district court judge is violating the law.
That's not true.
And they're,
that's not. You're
yeah,
talking
that is
about a law
absolutely
that's
true.
specific to temporary protected status.
No.
That's a specific sliver. They're not saying that judges can't weigh in on immigration. That's just not true.
Are you familiar? Well, unfortunately, it is true. Are you familiar with the difference between Article 2 immigration courts and Article 3 judicial courts?
Absolutely, I am. But what I'm saying is, are you saying the White House has carte blanche over all immigration and a judge can't step in and do anything? I mean, there is no law in the books.
A district court judge has no authority in this space whatsoever, not even a little bit, not even a small amount, let alone it is true. So answer me this, why did Congress create Article 2 immigration courts? Because they didn't want Article 3 courts, and in fact prohibited Article 3 courts from adjudicating individual cases.
Okay.
Is it really your belief, as if it is, that's breathtaking to me, that when we're deporting an illegal alien, we have to get permission from an Article 3 district court judge?
Okay.
Like a trial judge? Is that your view?
It's how the law works and the Constitution
No,
works.
the law says explicitly that individual immigration cases fall underneath the Attorney General of the United States under Article 2. And the Article 3 courts have been stripped of jurisdiction wholly in this area.
There is a law, and
it's
a temporary protected status that says it's not subjected to judicial review, but that does not apply to all immigration issues. It's one law
first
from
of all,
Congress.
I'm glad that you're conceding that TPS rulings are unlawful. But the entire structure of
the Supreme Court weighed in on that. I am saying yes. The Supreme Court said the Trump administration was right on that issue.
One of many
twice
examples.
In the last
we are
few
always
weeks.
right.
But let me ask you. Okay, well, not every judge agrees with that. But let me go to Elon Musk. Trump is hosting him in the Oval Office this afternoon.
Okay, so Stephen Miller clearly not. It's the meme. It's the Simpsons meme. Chuckles, I'm in danger. It's the Ralph Wiggum meme. I'm in danger. Look at this CNN hack trying to hold her own with Stephen Miller. I need more of this. And in fact, we do have more of this. The argument of whether you should use the term criminal alien is important in this interview.
Migrant sent a letter threatening to kill the president, promising to self-deport after the assassination. CNN reporting shows that investigators believe the migrant was set up. It was a victim of a setup. What is the administration going to do now? And this is an undocumented immigrant. I do want to note that. But this was someone who came forward, was a victim of a crime, and now law enforcement believes he was set up. Go ahead.
Well, I want to clarify what you mean, so we're talking about the same thing. Are you saying this immigrant was here illegally?
Yes, but I am, and that's why I said that. I clarified that.
You said undocumented, and I wasn't clear what that means. I'm assuming they have a fake ID. I'm assuming they have a fake social security number.
That's neither here nor there. That's getting away from the question,
country.
Stephen. I want this to be, and call me naive, a good faith discussion about what's happening right now.
When we use language that's designed to obscure the truth, that's not good faith.
An
illegal alien is an illegal alien. They're not an undocumented migrant.
Okay, that's fine. That's another discussion for another day.
I don't know the details of the assassination threat. All I can say, based on what you're telling me, is there's an illegal alien in our country who's making menacing threats. Regardless of the facts or circumstances, we don't want him here. We're going to get to the bottom of it, and I would gladly come back on when I have more information to share with you.
They were set up, just to be clear. But quickly, where is the White House on habeas corpus?
The illegal alien was treated unfairly. Yes, I'm sure the illegal alien was treated very unfairly.
Where is?
That's what I voted for. Stephen Miller cooks on CNN. When we use language that's designed to obscure the truth, it's not good faith. An illegal alien is an illegal alien. They're not an undocumented migrant. Finally, Stephen Miller has her literally shaking. So what you're saying here is an individual action by a president can be individually approved by 700 district court judges. This is absurd.
Last few weeks, yet even just yesterday we saw whenever a judge rules against this administration, you say they're going rogue. Do you think a judge should just rubber stamp what your White House does? If not, what checks and balances do you think should be in place for this White House?
It is not the job of a district court judge to perform an individual green light or red light on every single policy that the president takes as the head of the executive branch. Just think about the premise baked into your question, respectfully, Pam. You're saying that when the American people elect a president of the United States of America,
I'm not saying
well, it's the implication, who is the sole head of the executive branch, Well,
What
let me
checks and
finish.
balances
Let
do
me
you think
finish.
should be in
I will
place?
answer the question happily. But look, when you have these kinds of lazy assumptions built into questions, it makes it hard to have a constructive
What is
dialogue.
a lazy
But I'm
assumption? I
saying-
said you all had to win.
You said no. You said
is
is it my expectation?
I'm speaking
you said,
because
is it
now
my,
you're putting.
You said is it my expectation? It's not just you. It's the whole media. In other words, when you
I know
hear
you
a
want to loop
sentence
us
like
on. It is a completely
no,
fair
no.
question. You say
fine.
judges who rule against the White House
and I will
go rogue.
gladly answer it. When
Go
you
ahead.
say, do we think district court judges should rubber stamp each action? There is a premise that is built into that is absurd. The president is the sole head of the executive branch. He's the only officer in the entire government that's elected by the entire American people. Democracy cannot function. In fact, democracy does not exist at all if each action the president takes, foreign policy, diplomatic, military, national security, has to be individually approved by 700 district court judges. That's democracy. So if there's 15 communist crazy judges on the court, that each of them as a team working together can block and freeze each and every executive action. Joe Biden was allowed by that same court system
Some of them
to
are
import
Trump
20
judges,
million
though.
illegal foreigners
Why did Trump
into
put
this
these
country.
crazy communist judges, as you call them, on the bench?
You heard President Trump himself say that the Federal Society and Leonard Leo has created a broken system for judicial vetting. And God knows
He
this
did
time
say that.
around, we
so
are
does
not
that
going
mean he
to be
doesn't
using.
support
We are
picking
not
Amy
going to
Coney
be
Barrett
using.
for the Supreme Court?
What it means is simply this and nothing more. We're not going to be using the Federal Society to make judicial nominations at all going forward. But
Undocumented migrant sent a letter threatening to kill the president, promising to self-deport after the assassination. CNN reporting shows that investigators believe the migrant was set up. It was a victim of a setup. What is the administration going to do now? And this is an undocumented immigrant. I do want to note that. But this was someone who came forward, was a victim of a crime, and now law enforcement believes he was set up. Go ahead.
Well, I want to clarify what you mean, so we're talking about the same thing. Are you saying this immigrant was here illegally?
Yes, but I am, and that's why I said that. I clarified
Well, because
that.
you said undocumented, and I wasn't clear what that means. I'm assuming
Okay.
they have a fake ID. I'm assuming they have a fake
Okay,
social security
that's
number.
neither here nor
I'm
there.
assuming they have
That's
a
getting away
passport
from
in
the
their home
question,
country.
Stephen. I want this to be, and call me naive, a good faith discussion about what's happening right
but
now.
when we use language that's designed to obscure the truth, that's not good faith.
All right,
An
does
illegal
this
alien is
risk-
an illegal alien. They're not an undocumented migrant.
Okay, that's fine. That's
So,
another
look,
discussion
we will-
for another day.
I don't know
Go ahead.
I don't know the details of the assassination threat. All I can say, based on what you're telling me, is there's an illegal alien in our country who's making menacing threats. Regardless of the facts or circumstances, we don't want him here. We're going to get to the bottom of it, and I would gladly come back on when I have more information to share
They were
with you.
set up, just to be clear. But quickly,
So
where
you're
is the
saying
White House
illegal
on
alien was
habeas
treated
corpus?
unfairly? Yes, I'm sure the illegal alien was treated very unfairly.
Okay, where
Next question.
is
Stephen Miller just absolutely cooking there. Why Pamela Brown, that's the name of the reporter on CNN, thought that she could intellectually raconteur with Stephen Miller is, I don't know, suicidal, dumb. But he just like cleaned. It's like three different major issues on the district courts, the rubber stamping, and then on the use of criminal alien as terminology. Ladies and gentlemen, whoreface Dana Bash is really upset about this and is crying on air.
For the record, there is nothing lazy about Pamela Brown in any way, particularly when it comes to her intellect. Let's discuss what we...
Women on CNN literally shaking Stephen Miller doing God's work and just absolutely scorched earth. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see more of Stephen Miller on CNN and in these debates, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We will always cover it. It's your boy Benny.